752, Big 550, KTRS. Brad Garrett, ABC News crime and terrorism consultant. Good morning, Brad Garrett.
Good morning, McGraw.
Yesterday we heard a new terrorism word, Khorasan, and that group. Who were they?
Khorasan is a group of hardened al-Qaeda fighters that Ayman al-Zawahiri in Pakistan, the guy who replaced bin Laden, sent to Syria, McGraw, basically to develop undetectable bombs to go aboard aircraft. And the belief is that they were getting extremely close to being able to perfect those type of bombs, and so that's why we went after them.
And they're somewhere in Syria.
They were, yes, that's where they were sent. And I think they were sent there primarily, McGraw, because of the remoteness and the ability for this group just to focus, not get involved in the wars around them, but just to focus on building these bombs. And I think they also have gotten help from the bomb makers, the ones we know about, Ibrahim al-Siri, the guy who built supposedly the underwear bomb and the cartridge bombs. I think he's helping them.
But this is an offshoot of al-Qaeda, which is different from Isil.
Absolutely. In fact, they disavowed each other, basically. So, and that's the problem with this game, McGraw, is the number of players that, they're connected here, they're not connected there, they don't like each other, they fight each other, they fight us. I mean, it's sort of a nightmare in trying to figure out who you should go after, who you should not go after, and so
how.
And how is
right.
the big problem.
Yeah. So our intelligence, we must have some pretty good, as they say, resources on the ground to figure out where and how to go about getting them inside of Syria.
I mean, based on my experience, McGraw, you would had to have had some human intelligence as to the location of people like this Muhsin al-Fadli, who was the alleged leader of Khorasan, to know that he and some of his major players were either all together in one location or at a number of locations that we simultaneously hit.
What's interesting about this is that it comes the same time that they bombed Isil. Is that just a strange coincidence?
Well, or it's an excuse to go after Khorasan, and Isil is there. It's kind of a twofer, I guess. Now, what came first, I don't know. My sense is that the intelligence, as far as Khorasan moving along with a potential lethal undetectable bomb, was getting so close, and we may have just learned that recently, that we had to do something. Right. So it may be coincidence.
Now, do we send in guys and sort of take and find out what they're doing, or is this thing bombed to smithereens, or is something we'll just never know?
I think it has to be a combination of all of the above. How can you actually effectively do this? I'm not suggesting there's Americans on the ground in and around Khorasan, but clearly they've got sources that are giving them information, and they're going to have to use somebody to confirm that, like this leader, Fadli, and others are actually dead.
Why are they calling themselves a different group? If they're all al-Qaeda guys, why are they coming up with a different name? Why don't they just use the same name, al-Qaeda?
Well, I guess it's because why are there different kinds of Chevrolets that you just reported?
Right.
I think they like having their own little niche and their own little, hey, we're different because we're here.
Right. And
Khorasan is an old, super old, ancient term before Afghanistan and Iran were even formed. It's a part of the country down that direction. So who knows? But I think it's an identity thing. If you call me X, then I am attached to the follower.
Right. So Khorasan is more aligned with al-Qaeda, and ISIL is more aligned with the Ba'athist regime that was sort of scattered after Saddam Hussein was taken in.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure it's that clear, McGraw. There is, I think, firm intelligence that former commanders in Saddam's army are running the army for ISIL, and that's only because they're they're Sunni, and they hate the Shias, and obviously ISIL hates the Shias.
Yeah,
and so I think they've got different motives, despite the fact that they're the war machine behind ISIL.
Do we have any idea how many arms and tanks and our arms ended up in ISIL's hands?
I think the term is a lot, because they basically were able to overrun the Iraqi army at a number of their supply and ordnance depots. That combined with literally hundreds of millions of dollars that they pillaged out of banks. And the estimates are now, McGraw, that they make $1 million to $2 million a day off of black market oil, because they have seized oil pumpers in Syria.
Sobering stuff. Brad Garrett, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst. Brad, be safe out there.
All right, McGraw, thank you.
7:58 here, Big 5.